here in Urbana, Maryland, September 7th, 1862, early in the day, Confederate Major General Jeb Stuart has moved his cavalry force into the town here. Remember, the Confederate Army has crossed on September 4th the Potomac River. They have moved the bulk of their infantry just south of Frederick, Maryland, near Monocacy Junction, site of the 1864 battle. They have set up Confederate pickets all along the big ridge that extends from the Potomac River to the Pennsylvania state line just south of Hyattstown. And there's going to be that skirmish. Well, before we get to that, some pretty interesting things are happening here in Urbana. Again, on September 7th, Jeb Stuart moves into this area and he finds this beautiful building behind us, the Landon House. Prior to the American Civil War, it's a girls' school. It's teeming with life. It's very active. But when he gets here, it's been abandoned. His soldiers will talk about the sounds, their footsteps resonating in the halls and in the chambers of the building as they move through it. And he decides that, hey, we've just had a hard summer. The cavalry has done a lot of riding. The horses are tired, the men are tired, they've done a lot of fighting. They have crossed a number of rivers with the infantry and things like that, so it's time to let the hair down, cut a little loose, and maybe even cut a rug or two. So the majority of September 7th, 1862 finds Jeb Stuart and his command staff spread out through the town, sending invitations, getting things together for a grand party. He's got guys tracking down lighting sources. He's got the music, 11th Mississippi, I believe, coming down here to set up and play a bunch of jaunty tunes. And it's 24 hours later on September 8th where things start to get down. They're having themselves a fine party here. And then suddenly a courier is going to enter the party covered in dust. Somebody who looks very out of place when you consider the officers here are wearing some of their finest clothes. The women and the men of the town have been invited in and everybody's kind of got their finery on. And in comes this runner covered in dust, basically explaining that we've made contact with the enemy. There's a brisk fire happening down in Hyattstown, and pretty coincidentally, as this conversation is taking place, the sounds of that brisk fire make their way here. And audibly, inside this building and outside of this building where a lot of this party is taking place, the men can hear what's going on. And they'll talk about in 5 minutes' time, they are mounted up and heading towards the front lines to experience this action. So the Landon House in 1862 has a pretty interesting 24 hours. It goes from being abandoned to the site of a pretty raucous party. Everybody's having a good time. All sorts of things happening underneath the moonlight. We have drinks flowing, great dances, lots of socializing, a lot of good cheer. And then only a few hours after that, the wounded from that skirmish down in Hyattstown are making their way here and it becomes a field hospital.